Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome back to the Lockdown Sessions, presented to you by our friends over at True Heel Heat Podcast. If you're going to listen to one brand new podcast this week, make it True Heel Heat. If you're going to listen to two, hey, check out Wrestling Travels. We're giving it a shot as well. But before we get into all of that, we've got a very special guest here. We're here live in Texas with Curt Stallion. Stallion, welcome to the show.
Thanks, bro. I really appreciate you having me on.
Oh, man, we're excited. We've been trying to get this lined up. We're all excited for the Independent Wrestling Expo coming up there in Dallas.
Dude, that's going to be sweet.
At the end of the month. Now, that's right in your backyard, obviously, right?
Yes, sir. Well, I mean, technically, Texas is a really big backyard, so it's like 5 hours away, but still, everything's 5 hours away from where I live.
There you go, man. That's awesome. So before we're going to get into all kinds of that, because I'm really excited about the Independent Wrestling Expo. We're happy to sponsor. Just excited to have wrestling back in front of fans. But we got to start at the beginning. We're out of the United Kingdom, and a lot of us might not have heard of Curt Stallion yet. But can you tell us how long you've been in the business?
Well, I started training October 2012, and I had my first match July 20th, 2013. So roughly 7 to 8 years.
Oh, that's awesome. And who did you train with? Who broke you in?
Initially, I started training in Odessa, Texas at a place called Old School Wrestling with a guy named Fred Urban III, and he was really good friends with Bret Hart, so I just kind of marked out for the promotion initially and just jumped in, which was great because of the connections Fred had. And there was a guy named Justin Taylor, the living proof Justin Taylor, who was the head trainer there, and he had done like Quackenbush seminars and other things, but never really had a great foundation of training, but he's phenomenal still to this day. So I'm very lucky that I started with this guy. But from there, I kind of plateaued in this place where there really wasn't much to learn. So I moved to St. Louis, Missouri in January 2015 to start training with Michael Elgin, who at the time was the Ring of Honor World Champion. And that was where my career really took off.
That's awesome. Yeah, Michael Elgin. That's a name.
That is a name.
That is a name. Sorry, look at journalistic faux pas. I left my phone, my ringer on. I learned that from Alicia too, not to do that, and here I go. So, 2012, you start training, but let's back up. Even you're a young stallion. I don't know what they call it. You're a pony, whatever it is.
Yeah,
what
young stud?
Who gives you the? Who do you see on TV when you're first watching? What gives you the edge? Who are you watching on pro wrestling? Who's somebody you're a big fan of when you're a young kid?
Bro, Randy Orton was my idol growing up. Like I loved that dude. Still to this day, I love that dude. Like he's the man. But like, just everything about that was just like what I wanted to grow up to be and who I wanted to be as a person. Even when he was a piece of shit on TV, like it was awesome. Like he was just like typical teenage boy idol. Like that dude's cool. I want to be like that dude when I grow up. And the way he carried himself, it was really cool to me. And then guys like Chris Benoit and Hardcore Holly and Eddie Guerrero, the way they wrestled, like that kind of really like sucked me in, where I was just like, okay, some of these guys are kind of taking this as a joke, and some of these guys are like really out there making it like worth watching. And that's what really pulled me in.
Now I haven't got a chance. We just kind of arranged this. I haven't got a chance to watch too many clips of you, but what would you say if you had to describe your style? Who would you say you take after? I know I'm throwing out the tough questions tonight.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. Man, I'd probably say the people I'm thinking of, I don't even want to say it because it's like there's no way in my life I'd be at their level at this point in my career, and comparing myself to them makes me feel like a piece of shit. But I want to say Shibata because he's my idol in the ring. Like, and I'm the type of guy, like if you snug me, I'm even if I'm laying on the ground selling for you, I'm getting up and I'm gonna pop you right back. Like I'm just gonna. That's how I was brought up. Like I used to get this shit beat out of me growing up, just because I was the only white kid at my school, and they used to pick on me all the time. And I grew up having to fight. And so, like in a wrestling ring, if you fuck with me, I'm gonna beat you up. Like it's pro wrestling, man. Like I love it. I'm not gonna let it be disrespected.
That's awesome. And I realize as I'm asking that question, that's unfair because who I might think I style after, it might be very disrespectful if in my own head, I think I do this like whoever. And it's like, man, it depends on, I guess it's all in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take it like this. You bring it in the ring.
I try, bro.
How many, now 7 years. I know you're not going to remember exactly, but how many matches do you think you got under your belt?
Bro, I honestly lost count. Like about 4 years in, I was already at like 500 something matches, and like because I was wrestling every single weekend, all the time, like nonstop. Elgin just forced it on us. Like if we didn't have anything going on that weekend, guess what? We're in the car with him or in the van with him, going to a show, and he's gonna get us either on or we're gonna get ourselves on. Like we didn't have the option of just sitting at home and being lazy if we wanted to train with him, and that's one of the like. Say what you will about that dude as a person, I don't care, but God, he is a phenomenal pro wrestling trainer because of how much he loves it and cares about it. Like I learned so much from that dude, and I'm so glad that I got trained by him because I wouldn't be where I am now and doing the things that I'm gonna get to do because if I hadn't gone through him. Like I just know. Like he was awesome. So I don't even remember what you asked. I just started rambling.
That's all right. That's what it's all about. The best reviews I've ever gotten on this show is when it's two guys shooting the shit and just rambling on and on. How now? So you got a lot of matches under your belt when you were younger. How old were you about when you started training, roughly, without giving away?
Dude, I didn't start training until I was 22. Like I had just turned 22, and I remember 4 years prior, everywhere I had lived, like going to school and following my ex-girlfriend around, like I tried getting in wrestling places and just either never got called back or just realized like they weren't real pro wrestling and I didn't want to be a part of that, like just backyarders with rings kind of stuff. So I waited till I found something legit that had flyers, that had like names being brought in on the show to work with other guys. When I found that, I dove right in. But prior to that, there was nothing. It was just backyard stuff, and I didn't have the means to move somewhere to make it happen until I worked in the oil field and had money and got a job, all that good stuff.
Now, 22 is very young to realize, which I'm glad that you did, that this is a backyard or this isn't legit. Because back when I was 22, that's when I broke in. I couldn't find a school.
Oh, yeah.
You had to, I got damn lucky that I was at a match and found who I did. But right now, when things came out, and I'll go off on a tangent here with some of these movements and stuff right now in wrestling, I think part of the issue has been in pro wrestling. There is every Tom, Dick, and Harry that thinks, hey, I'm in wrestling. I'm going to train somebody. I'm going to buy a ring. Up here, you can buy a ring and call yourself a wrestling promoter. You don't have to have any licenses or anything. So now we're getting people. When I broke in, it was $5,000 for the training. Now people are going, hey, just give me $500, kid, and I'll take. And there's so much lost in it. And I just think with the movement and everything going on, if we can just scale it back, it's going to be so much better. But kudos for you for realizing that, man, some of these schools are not where I want to be.
Yeah, I'd listened to a lot of podcasts, or not podcasts, but like YouTube clips and stuff up at that point in my life of like old-timey wrestlers talking about legit training and like all these backyard stuff. So I always had it in my head, being a Texas guy, like I wrestled in the backyard in high school and middle school. Why do I want to keep doing that as an adult? Like I want to get paid for this. I want to make it a career. I want to take it serious. So like if you want to be the top chef in the world, you're not going to go to like fucking whatever school. You're going to go to the top chef school that you can find that's within reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, 110%. It's just the kudos goes for if I would have been in your shoes in 2012 where everybody's running like a backyard school, I don't know if I could have. I might have. In fact, full disclosure, I ended up wrestling for one that I was really sure um, after I got there that these guys were a bunch of untrained people, and it happens. So, but my hat's off to you. So now you. And here's another little piece of, I don't know if I'm freezing up here, piece of advice for you and anybody watching this. Good friend of the show up in Canada, Tyson Dukes,
I
has
love that.
just started his own YouTube channel a couple weeks ago, and he's given out, it's like sitting under the learning tree. He's got a couple minute to 5 minute clips on different things like hammer locks, reversals, all the little tiny things. And I always say, if you're doing the little things right, but check out Tyson Dukes. The guy can fill up a pickup truck with knowledge. And right now he's like under 100 subscribers. So get in while the getting's good. And I tell you what, when we think we know it all in pro wrestling, then we got problems. But it's kind of nice
Yeah,
a guy like that just giving out free stuff to put in your toolbox.
I'm
So
literally
that,
gonna watch that whenever we get off of this. Like that sounds
yeah,
awesome.
100%. And he's just a good dude. And so talk to me about this. You got 400 plus matches at least under your belt. Our audience is mainly from the United Kingdom. We got a little bit in the States, but what are some of the quote unquote names that you've kind of stepped in the ring with that kind of stand out to you?
Man, my first match with a name was against ACH about 3 months after moving to St. Louis, and then after that it was ACH, AR Fox, Sammy Callahan, Kyle O'Reilly, Danny Burch, Elgin. There's a lot, man. Like I used to job out to War Machine all the time at Ring of Honor before they were big. I used to job out to Keith Lee and Shane Taylor all the time at Ring of Honor. I've done a lot of cool stuff at Ring of Honor. Silas Young when he was TV champ. Uh, Man, I know there's a ton of people I'm missing and forgetting, but like I've done amazing things in my career that still kind of blow my mind to this day to even think about. And yeah, those are just some of the names off the top of my head right there.
That's awesome. Every time I kind of ask name questions, whether I talk about the stars on TV, the ones on the indies, it's always tough on the person I'm asking because you risk you're gonna leave somebody out and 2 minutes later go, shit, I should have said
Yeah,
my
and
boy.
the people that I'm considering too of like name dropping are guys that are like at my level that I know are going to be stars someday, and it's just like, oh, I'll just let them get their due like on their own at some point, you know what I mean? So
So Orton is your boy. Any prediction on what they're doing at SummerSlam?
ooh, no idea. I mainly watch Raw just for that dude, honestly. Him and Flair together just tripped me out. But he kicked Flair to the curb last Monday. I was like, oh, brother, but that's all right. I don't know. Honestly, it's Orton, and at the end of the day, whatever they do with him, he's going to be a badass regardless. I doubt he takes the title off of Drew McIntyre, but if he does, I mean, that'd be cool because then what's that, 14-time champion, 15-time? Like,
Yeah, somewhere around there.
yeah, Flair cut a badass promo on him where he was just like, oh, I don't want it to be John Cena's 16-time record. I want it to be yours. Like, always wanted it to be yours. And it was emotional. It was cool.
It's cool that we're still getting stuff. What has been your take now in this pandemic? I think the wrestlers and wrestling fans have realized that watching wrestling on TV without fans, it's a tough watch. It's a tough sell. What has your opinion? Have you been able to watch as much as you want to? Like I'm glad it didn't shut down like baseball and basketball did. But man, wrestling without fans, it was a tough watch for a while there, for me at least.
Yeah, it is. Man, WrestleMania was so weird, dude. Like, I was watching WrestleMania at Riddle's house, like in Orlando, just sitting on his couch with him. We're just watching, and it was just, I'm not burying it at all. It was just different because it was we were still fresh in the like no fans time, and for WrestleMania to be that, and I was so distraught because I was going to work for WWE during WrestleMania week. I was going to do access matches against Kushida and Theory, I think, and that was like going to be a big payday for me, and I was so excited to work in front of like all the bosses and my heroes and hopefully get a job off of that. And it all just crashed in my face, and all this money that I had spent for bills just went off like and was gone. It wasn't coming back like I thought it was going to WrestleMania week, where I was supposed to make thousands of dollars, and so I was kind of disheartened with wrestling for a little bit in terms of like watching the current products. Of course, I didn't stop watching wrestling. I just went back and watched the old stuff that I liked. But as of recently, I've been watching more and more, to get back to your point, and it's not as bad as it was to start, where it was just like, oh, this is almost cringy. Like, it's just, ugh.
Yeah.
Now I feel like they're figuring out a way to work around it and to make it work to where they're working solely for the cameras and not for a pop. You know what I mean? Like, to give the people at home that emotional reaction rather than feed off of the one in the crowd. They're creating their own to give to us. So that's the way I've been looking at it. And it's still like, it's without the fans, it's even more of a TV show than it was before. You know what I mean? Like, it's easier to like check out of it's easier to not be able to check your disbelief at the door. You're just kind of like, ugh. But at the same time, I've still found myself getting lost in matches and just like, man, like, this is really good stuff. You know what I mean? So I can't knock it. The fact that they have the extras and the people that aren't like ready to wrestle on TV yet in the crowd and reacting helps a little bit compared to where it was just dead silent at first. Now that they're there banging and cheering, that helps. But sometimes you do get the occasional jackass out there just yelling dumb shit, and it's a lot easier to hear. But other than that, like, I can't bitch, man. I thought it's whatever. They're making it work for me. So.
Right, that's where I kind of was. Like, yeah, it's tough to watch, but it's better than not having it all. Here's where
Yes.
I do a little twist. The cinematic matches, I usually ask people about what their thoughts are on them. Now, I wanted to like them and really gave them a chance. And I never try to shit on any product, no matter what level it's on, unless it really deserves it. But to me, the AJ Styles Undertaker, but now it was like almost like we're doing a little bit the eyeball match, even though that wasn't cinematic. Some of the stuff like that as a traditionalist was kind of tough, but I was happy that we have it. The Money in the Bank guys match, the both of them I love, because it was kind of like I bought into it, but now it almost seems like we're doing a little too much. What has been your kind of, if you've watched any of the cinematics?
I'm very pick and choose with them myself. Like, I actually really enjoyed Undertaker AJ Styles. Like, I thought that was fucking badass, honestly. Like, for what it was worth, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't expect it like to be what it was essentially, and I was very entertained by it. But there have been ones that, like you said, it's not a gimmick match where it's whatever it is, or it was a gimmick match, but it's not like pre-recorded cinematic. The Seth Rollins Rey Mysterio match, I just was not. And I get it's like a super build for Dominique, which is awesome because I'm excited to see him like debut and all that stuff, and seeing Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy beat the piss out of him with those kendo sticks was epic television. Did you see that, where they put him up in the ropes and just like went to town on him with the kendo stick? Oh my God. That's one of the best segments I've seen on Raw in a long time, honestly. Like,
You know what? The after picture, what really made me cringe is, have you ever taken a chop from somebody who's stupid and gets you right on the nipple?
yes, a lot.
And then I see like he's got like the kendo mark, and I'm like, it's practically, I'm like, dude, that had to hurt like a bitch, you know? So that's,
Yeah.
So moving on from nipples, we've been in this lockdown sessions is what we started, because I kind of wanted to find out what you've been up to. Now, you talk about WrestleMania week. You had everything lined up. When was the last time you had wrestled before the pandemic?
Oh, before the pandemic, it was, I'm getting up because I realized I was getting swarmed by mosquitoes.
Texas.
The last time I wrestled was for the Haas tournament at New South Wrestling in Alabama. It was in Hartselle, Alabama. I was in a tournament where the first match I beat Hallowicked, second match I beat Sugar Dunkerton, and then I was in the finals in a four-way with AR Fox, Chris Crunk, and Derek Neal. And then Derek Neal won the whole thing with me and him in the final two. And then from there, I drove back to Texas, and I've been here ever since, brother. I mean, I got flown out to a drive-in show in San Diego with Fist Combat Wrestling, and that was June 26th, I believe. And then ever since then, I've just been here at the house. Like, I've literally done nothing but work out and try to diet to gain weight because I've always been real skinny. Like, I've been about 160 for the past 5 years. So I've been doing that, and I'm at 185 right now, and I'm trying to get to 195. So, but yeah, it's cool.
Workout, and I imagine a little bit of film study.
Oh, bro, like, that's – if I'm not playing Zelda or at the gym, I'm literally laying in my bed watching wrestling. I have a Shibata Blu-ray that some fans from St. Louis gave me a while back, and I still watch it. Like, it stays in my PlayStation. I'll just click on it and I'll go select a match and just watch that dude beat the shit out of people and just love it.
That's awesome. I miss the days of tape trading.
Oh, bro.
But it's kind of nice when the fans do bring you something. I would always go out in front of a show ahead of time, and if they had vendors there, buy up all their bootleg DVDs that I could afford.
Hell yeah.
I'm always looking for AWA stuff. I'm a big AWA mark. But living in Texas, are you a Von Erich guy?
Yeah, bro. Honestly, like, all the classic Texas wrestlers, I didn't know anything about them until after I started wrestling. Like, the only one I'd ever heard of was Terry Funk, go figure. And, of course, like, Shawn Michaels and Eddie, like, all the mainstream guys. But, like, the older classic wrestlers, like, especially the Von Erichs, I had no idea who they were whenever I first started. So getting to go back and watch a lot of their stuff, that's always a treat for me because I always stumble across new stuff. But for the most part, like, I'm currently focused on trying to build my own name as one of the guys in the future to where people are like Texas wrestlers, Terry Funk, the Von Erichs, Curt Stallion, or whatever my name will be in the future one of these days. So, you know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm at.
That's awesome. Speaking of building your name, at the Independent Wrestling Expo, you are going to tag up with Jake something against Myron Reed and Jordan Oliver. Now, I just watched live last weekend in Chicago at Warrior Wrestling, Jake something versus Joey Janela.
That was so badass.
It was a great match. Have you tagged with? What's your history with Jake something? Have you guys tagged before?
Well, as a matter of fact, brother, me and Jake, we both got offers to work for AAW out of Chicago at the same time in 2017, and they didn't know what to do with us. They just knew they wanted us. So whenever they got us, they stuck us together as a tag team, and we've been tagging at AAW ever since. And so for about 3 years now, we've been tag team partners, like, all over the country, wrestling guys. And Myron Reed and I, as a matter of fact, have had many singles matches all over the country. I think we've had like 6 already, 7. In all different locations all over the country. So I've never wrestled him with Jordan Oliver, nor have I ever even been in the ring with Jordan Oliver, but I'm looking forward to it because I've seen him around and he seems like a cool guy and I like his style. So honestly, it's just going to be a crazy mix-up of 2 guys that are just looking to beat the shit out of you and make some money against 2 guys that are just looking to impress the crowd and give everybody their money's worth and get paid. So it's going to be a fun time for everybody, I like to think. I'm looking super forward to it. I haven't been this excited for a match in a long time, honestly.
I was going to say, you're making a big return at a huge event. This is a huge event. This is a two-day wrestling event, expo extravaganza. 3 different times where wrestling's going on: Friday night, Saturday afternoon, and Saturday evening. There's a battle royal on Friday night, and the winner gets a shot at the NWA title held by Nick Aldis. They get to be the 3rd entrant in a 3-way dance with Nick Aldis and Jeff Cobb. I mean, you can't tell me that you're not excited for wrestling. You're not a wrestling fan if you're not checking this out.
Dude, that's amazing. Like that the event is stacked, like stacked. So I'm just happy they hit me up. Honestly, I mean that's really cool.
I think you guys are. What's awesome about independent wrestling, and Warrior up here in the north is something I watch. Is you got the same thing with Indy Expo. You're going to have a whole bunch of names that people are aware of, and you're going to have some that people like. Oh, I kind of heard the name, and then you're going to have a lot of people that are going to jump out of nowhere and just take over. I think the energy in that place, especially many of you guys there, haven't had too many matches in 6 months. I think your energy is going to be off the hook.
Oh man, it's gonna be a spaz fest, just happy feet all over the place.
And what's your so you haven't been in the ring with Jordan Oliver, so what do you think are you guys just gonna beat the shit out of those two?
I mean, yeah, that's what we do. I mean, go look up a Jake something Curt Stallion tag match and just laugh, because that's literally, we just beat this shit out of people. And Myron knows what to expect. Poor Jordan doesn't know what he's getting in there with, but I saw he's put on some pounds and he's been working really hard lately, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure he's going to put up a good little struggle there.
You know what? Not only the energy from you guys, the energy from there's going to be social distancing. They're going to do everything safe there, taking temperatures, people sitting, but the energy from even a crowd that can be at whatever percent capacity that they're allowed to in Dallas, that crowd energy, is that something you're looking forward to?
Bro, it's like a drug. You can't get enough of it. It's like, I'm super stoked for the energy of the crowd. Like, that's what I live for, man.
In between all of these different evenings of matches is the expo. You're going to be there signing autographs, selling some pictures, T-shirts and stuff. Social distancing, of course.
Doing all the good stuff, brother.
Now,
shaking babies, kissing hands.
That's right. Now, last couple of questions here. Wrestling travel, as you know, we bring fans from all over the world to their favorite wrestling events. Obviously, that's been a little bit on hold with the pandemic. But where has this crazy pro wrestling? This is like asking your favorite kid. So you're not going to be able to name everything, and I understand that. But what different cities? Where are some crazy places that wrestling's taken you to? What are some of your favorite places that you've been to wrestle in?
Oh man, one of my all-time favorites was wrestling in the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York City for Ring of Honor when I was in the semifinals of the Top Prospect Tournament in 2017. Yeah, that was one of my all-time favorite places. And Paul Turner, the referee, took me up to see where the first Raw was filmed and all that stuff. Like, I'll never forget that day. Man.
How about this? How about internationally? Have you wrestled over in the United Kingdom before?
No, I have not actually. I've only wrestled in Mexico and Canada, but I mean that's international. It's just not overseas.
International, so cool. So most of our fans were out of Manchester, United Kingdom. So I imagine if the offer was extended you to work over in the United Kingdom, you'd be there. We could see what you're all about over there.
I would move over there. I would live there.
Fantastic. Okay, final question, because A, I want to be respectful of your time, and B, I thank you. You've been getting your cardio in this entire time here. I feel like I need to let you off but where can the fans follow you on social media? Where can we have Curt Stallion merch out there for sale? How do we follow you? Where do we follow you? Where do we buy some stuff to support Curt Stallion?
You know, it's funny because anytime I've ever been asked this question, my go-to response is, if you want to find my shit, Google Curt Stallion, and there it is. You'll figure it out if you really want to. And I'm going to give you the rundown. I'm going to do it for you. So on Facebook, it's Curt the Lone Star Stallion. On Twitter, it's at Curt Stallion with a C. On Instagram, it's at Curt Stallion, and my prowrestlingtees.com/Curt Stallion website is open and available for purchase at any point with tons of t-shirts on there and cool designs. Other than that, I ain't got shit else. I don't really like social media stuff.
Okay, final question then, so we end on a big bang and not oh shit. If I'm a fan right now and either I can get to Dallas or I can live stream this event. Talk me into the arena. Why do I want to be watching on August 28th and 29th, the Independent Wrestling Expo?
If you're a professional wrestling fan and you hear about this and you see the flyer and you see the talent that is going to be there, not only the stars of the past, the stars of the future, and that is not enough to bring your ass in the door. Let me just explain to you, every single person on this card has probably not worked too many matches recently, so pretty sure everybody's going to be real antsy in their pantsy to get out there and just beat the crap out of somebody. So if that's not enough to bring you in the door, think of the amount of people that you'll get to meet, the people that you've seen all your life, your heroes, your villains, whatever you want to call them. They're all going to be there. Well, not all of them, but you know, the ones on the poster, and you'll get to meet them, and you'll get to get autographs and merch, whatever you want, memorabilia to have for the rest of your life. But not only that, the memories. Good God, the memories you'll get to make. So bring your friends, bring your family. Don't bring your kids unless they're like old enough to contain themselves and not act like little shitheads, and leave your pets at home.
Or live stream it and have all your pets and all your kids right there.
Yeah, see, you covered my ass, brother.
We got you. Curt Stallion, we cannot thank you enough for joining us here on the Lockdown Sessions. We look forward to seeing you August 28th, August 29th in Dallas, Texas for the Indy Wrestling Expo. Thanks, brother.
Dude, I appreciate you having me.